Hi, everybody. This is Melanie Headley. You are listening to ToRAISE Questions Doula podcast. I'm here with Thérèse Hakoun. Thérèse is the executive director of ToLabor, which is an international doula training and certifying organization.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Melanie.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Here we are.
Here we are in our adorable little office.
Yeah, and it's such a cozy day, too. I love beautiful, sunny, lovely days. Love them. But I really like a day like today, too, where it's, for us right now, it's cloudy. It's a little cooler.
Drizzly.
It's drizzly. And that just, especially being here right now, it feels all cozy. And my feet were cold, and Melanie ran out to her car and grabbed her birth socks out of her
My birth bag.
And they are like putting on, I can't describe it. She said clouds. And yes, but it's even better than that. So, yeah, this is lovely.
There's your doula trick.
Yeah.
Your doula tip for the day.
Yes.
Carry nice, warm, fuzzy socks in your birth bag because you never know
Absolutely.
who's going to need them.
Absolutely.
Your podcast buddy.
Right. And it is a really good tip, actually, because how many times have my socks gotten wet at a birth? You know, I mean, if I'm at a home birth, my shoes are always off. And I'm either barefoot, depending on the weather, or I have socks, and my feet inevitably get wet. So I do carry extra socks with me because I can't stand wet socks and my feet get cold.
Yeah.
In the hospital, it's not that my shoes are off walking around. My feet get cold, or my clients' feet get cold, and mine are just easier. The socks are easy access.
Yep.
So
I learned that the hard way because I wear these little Keds, like slip-on tennis shoes when I go to births. I don't wear socks. And I was in the shower with someone like outside of the shower,
right.
But like spraying them down with the nozzle, whatever it's called. And got completely soaking wet, like
that's it.
Below
That's
the knee, everything soaking wet.
Yeah.
So then after that, and then I had to wait for it to dry. And then, of course, I think I got a cold after. And so then now I always have socks in my bag.
Yeah, I just think it's a good idea.
And then now I have the partner do the spraying.
Yeah, that's absolutely. There's two tips. But so there's your tip for the day. We usually put it in the outro, but it was a spontaneous tip in the intro.
There we go.
So I want to just mention a couple of things before we get started, that we have some workshops coming up.
Where are you going?
Well, there's a few spaces left in our workshop in Stanton, Virginia, which I've mentioned is a beautiful area of Virginia in the mountains, and that's September 30th through October 2nd. So if you want to join us, and we'd love to have you come, and it's a beautiful time of year. The leaves are just starting to change. It'll be lovely. Go online and register. We're also having one in Durham, North Carolina, the Durham-Raleigh area, and that is October 21st through the 23rd, and that is going to be lovely, and we'd love to have you join us in North Carolina. The weather will still be the nice summer but fall kind of temperature, so if you're in a colder climate, you'll get to have some fall. Yeah, some late summer, early fall weather. That weekend also, if you already have been trained as a doula or are interested, we are having an acupressure workshop for birth attendants in Richmond. It is,
and that's going to be in our cute office.
That's right. The 22nd through the 23rd of October. So 2 workshops that weekend. One doula, one acupressure for birth attendants workshop. November, 5th through the 7th in Portland, Oregon. Love for you to come join us in Portland.
I want to go to that one.
Yeah, if you haven't been there, this is a great opportunity. If you have, it's a great chance to come back. And for all of you already in that area, obviously. And also in that month, November 11th to 12th, we just added this. We're really excited about it. We're having a perinatal loss and traumatic grief workshop with Carla Helbert, who you heard on this podcast just a few weeks ago, and she's going to do a phenomenal.
She's great.
Yeah, and I'm planning to attend because I think it is such a beneficial topic, and our planning of it got me even more excited about being a student of hers. So check those all out on our website, www.tolabor.com, and you can go to the schedule calendar, schedule events, and you'll see what is offered and how to register. And if you have any questions, you can contact us via email at the office at tolabor@gmail.com. So hope you'll join us. And we're working on our 2017 schedule currently, so stay tuned for that. So
great. Yeah. And we urge you to continue emailing us with questions at ToRAISEQuestions@gmail.com. And because today, that's what we're doing. We're answering questions.
Exactly. And one other thing. Don't forget to check out the T-shirt, the ToRAISE T-shirt, mug, coffee mug, and sticker. They're available for purchase if you go to the Doula Podcast section of the website, and there's a link to that there. And it's also on our Facebook page. We'd love for you to make people raise their consciousness.
Yes.
Help people, not make them. Help them. Okay, so
we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, guys. What's going on?
Hey, Melissa. Is this the Latch Mama office that we're calling today?
This is the Latch Mama office. I'm actually at the office right now, too.
Awesome.
Yeah. What's going on?
Well, we here at ToRAISE Questions Doula podcast absolutely love you and adore your company. And we are also so thankful that you are a sponsor. And we just wanted to know, what is a typical day like in the Latched Mama office? What's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Well, right now I'm very thankful for Latch Mama because it is a rainy Monday morning and I got to leave my house, have my 3 children and my husband at it, and come up and fix the printer. So I asked Nicole if it was really broken or if I just got my random employee ESP notice that I needed a little bit of a break. So
right, there's fresh coffee, no broken printer.
Exactly. Yeah, there was a detour through Starbucks on the way here.
Yes.
Hopefully my husband was not watching my phone at the time. But yeah, so now I'm here, and the printer is, I believe, fixed.
Good.
And of course, anytime you walk into an office on a Monday morning, there are about 12 other things that I could be taking care of right now. But we're talking about the fact that we're sold out of a lot of stuff, which is exciting and awesome.
Wow.
But we're trying to make sure our fall stuff gets in e-commerce land. Pretty much October 1st is when we really have to be ready for kind of the holidays and things to change and ramp up. So it's a pretty stressful few weeks for us coming up. So we're, adjusting the website accordingly and making sure we get some inventory orders in and, just doing what we're doing.
So are you getting, are you getting new,
do you have new styles coming out?
Yeah, we do. We have a few different new tunics that we created to kind of go with the new legging trend that seems to be hip and happening.
Yeah.
We have a few of those things under development. We actually have, we're really excited. We have a baby wearing jacket and hoodie that
awesome.
I just saw something like that and just think that is the most wonderful. God,
I can't wait.
Yeah, that was superb to me.
Yeah, we're pumped about that. So the sample should arrive today for us to review, and then hopefully we can turn around quickly and make whatever edits we need and
excellent
get those in production and out. So yeah, it's an exciting time. There's just, there's never a dull moment around here. So.
Oh, we're sure.
So I guess also then the rest of the day, I mean, that printer is so important because without it, it's to most people, it's like, well, your printer's broken, but without it, you can't do your labels and all of the other things that are required to get those orders out. So I guess every day is filled with filling orders overall too. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that and just customer service stuff. So,
right.
technology wise, if we have something in the process that is not working, it kind of shuts us completely down. So getting orders out and getting customer service answered is normally our first goal for the day, and then we work on kind of business development and how to grow and stuff from that point on. So
sounds like a busy day.
So in terms of a typical day, I'll leave here and head home, and my husband will head off to work, and we'll hand off the kids, and I'll hopefully get them down for a nap, and then hopefully by this afternoon I'll be able to come back for a few more hours and actually put some real time in, and just keep moving. We just go one step in front of another.
Yeah, so busy mama is running latched mama. We hear it, we know it, we believe it. It's but I hope in that nap time there is nap time for you as well, or at least quieter rest time.
Yeah, we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
Who knows?
That's right.
Hopefully they'll go down. We'll see.
I'm sure there might be another Starbucks trip in your future.
Exactly. If all else fails, there's caffeine and there is eventual bedtime. That's what I remind myself every day. Is at some point today, all three kids will fall asleep. Hopefully.
That's it.
Barring any sort of illness or anything, they will all three be asleep at one point.
Yes.
We really appreciate your support and taking a second to talk to us. We figured we'd like to hear from the source.
Yeah.
Not us just, we talk about you all very highly each podcast, but it's nice for people to know that there's we talk about this person, Melissa. Well, here, everyone, this is Melissa.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. And any local moms and stuff that listen to, keep in mind about our warehouse sale that's happening in the middle of October 14th, 15th, and 16th. And there's information on the Facebook page about it. So definitely good deals and exciting stuff happening. So
it is good.
So great.
So everybody,
thank you, Latched Mama.
Yeah, thanks. And check out latchmama.com and their Facebook page. And thanks, Melissa. Have a great rest of the day.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye.
All right, bye.
All right, we're back. So this question that we're going to talk about today comes to us from a Tiffany Jensen in Cincinnati. Thank you, Tiffany, for writing to us. And it's a great question. And Tiffany has a website you can go to peruse, which we did, and we loved it. It is childwithinbirth.com. So Tiffany asked about Foley bulbs.
Yes, she specifically said that she wanted to understand more about Foley bulb inductions, and that she's heard of them but never actually seen it done, and would love to know the evidence or anecdotes for when people see it most effective. So we thought, let's talk about it, because it is an option for inductions that I don't think is regularly offered to women. And the question then that arises is, why not? And is there a more appropriate time for it to be used over and above another induction agent, or vice versa? So,
and when we were talking about a Foley bulb or a Foley catheter or a Cook's catheter, it's all the same. And what it is a little small balloon that is attached to a tube, and that is inserted into the cervix. So the cervix has to be somewhat dilated. It has to be open a little bit. Even a centimeter will work.
Right. And some softness to it a little bit.
Right.
Right.
And it is inserted into the cervix, and then it sits there, and water is pumped through the tube to create, to make the little balloon be about 2 to 3 centimeters big. And then it sits in that cervix. So it's also called a mechanical dilator. And the mechanical dilator, the only other mechanical dilator I know of are the seaweed strips.
Right. Luma. I always want to say luminaire.
That's what I wanted to call it, but that's not what it's called.
I don't think it
Laminara?
is. Laminara.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Yes.
Which I never see used anymore.
No, but it's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is supposed to happen with the Foley bulb induction is it does mechanically dilate a little bit because it's stretching that cervix open because of the size, but it's also stirring up prostaglandins.
Yes.
So which, this induction method would be used if a woman, based on her Bishop score, or, looking at how dilated she is, if she is under 2 centimeters in dilation, that because what needs to happen is she needs more prostaglandins to get that cervix more ripe. If she's over 3, then it would just be
a regular.
Pitocin.
Yeah. Or I guess, yes, that's right.
Right.
Right. And they wouldn't necessarily even want to do any kind of prostaglandin at that point.
Because then we need oxytocin.
Right.
Okay. So just that's the kind of background on what the Foley is and why it would be used or when it would be used.
And that goes to the bigger question, though. And we don't have to go into the depth of this at this point. But if her Bishop score is low. And we are using something to stir up the prostaglandin release, why are we doing this induction anyway? But that is...
So we're assuming that...
Yes, there's a good medical reason for
we
it.
Need to do this.
But that's important just to put in there that your client, you are discussing this with your client as far as why is this being suggested? And again, we don't say, no, you shouldn't do that, or yes, you should do that necessarily. It's more making clear that we're clear on why they're being induced. And then...
Well, I like, that whenever you bring any intervention in to do the brain.
Exactly. And asking the appropriate questions, making sure that they are aware of, is this medically necessary? Is this a good choice? And more than likely what it's based on in our day and age is that it's post-dates.
Right.
And that can be a really legitimate reason.
Well, I just had a client who this was going to be an option, but she went into labor on her own before the date, and she was dealing with gestational hypertension. Yeah.
And so, there are reasons. Absolutely. It's always that question because people's hair will go up like, well, if the Bishop score is so low, why are we doing an induction? Well, there could be a very good, we want it to be a good reason for why. Yes.
So I have personal experience with the Foley catheter.
Mine are more anecdotal experiences. I have many women who have had those, but not with me present.
Well, I had one myself with my first baby. And then I've been present with clients who have also used the Foley inpatient and outpatient.
And that's one of the things I think can be beneficial about, and we can wait for us to talk about the benefits, but I do think that can be beneficial because in some cases you can actually go home with
Absolutely.
So describe something.
So, when I had mine placed, it was not for a medical reason. It was because I was over being pregnant and I was not a doula and I had no idea what I was doing. And
you were
begged my midwife.
Typical, very common.
At 41 weeks, I begged my midwife to do something to get this baby out of me. And she agreed to do a Foley catheter. And so that, it worked. I went home and labor started and I started to dilate and it took about...
Yeah, how long was my question?
It took about 12 hours for the bulb to come out.
So what happened was she inserted it. Was it uncomfortable?
Yes.
Yes, because you're inserting something in the cervix and you're manipulating it and stretching it. It's like, stretching muscle.
Yeah. And I remember she put me in the car to go home and said, why don't you guys go out to dinner tonight? Why don't you have some friends over and just try to relax, just do life? And I thought, there's a balloon in my vagina. I do not want to go out to dinner.
So did it remain uncomfortable while it was in the whole time?
It just felt like a little pressure.
Okay, pressure.
Yeah.
And then the goal is, though, for it to fall out on its own.
Right.
Because then it would imply that
you've gotten to at least 3 to 4 centimeters.
Yeah. You're larger than that bulb can hold any longer. So what you were instructed?
But I've also been with women who they've had the Foley taken out and they've been way more than 3 to 4 when it's been taken out and it didn't come out on its own.
Okay.
Yes, but that's what I was instructed. When it comes out, we'll know that you are, you've surpassed at least 3.
Mm-hmm.
But so, for me, it did work and did put me into labor. I've been with clients who have used it in the hospital, with the policies being that they needed to be in the hospital to use it. And it did the trick. It worked. It got her, I think she was 6 when they took it out. And she went on to have a baby very shortly after that. And then I had another client who's...
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Did they need anything else, like Pitocin or anything else to... Okay. Not Melanie shaking her head.
I'm trying to remember. Not with that woman. Not with that client. She went on to... It was just the Foley.
Okay.
Yeah.
So having a Foley doesn't necessarily mean you'll need oxytocin. Pitocin, I mean. You'll have your own oxytocin receptors will be triggered, hopefully enough by that.
Well, that's kind of why I like the Foley.
Well, that's what I think.
Because
it sounds a good option.
Yeah, it's not something synthetic going into your bloodstream. Right. It's not a drug. It can be taken out if it's too uncomfortable.
Right.
And it's your body doing it, so your body is responding.
Well, that's what I mean. That's always been my impression of the Foley. And my question is, why is it not the Bishop score, and I assume, and don't want to always assume, but that most people know what the Bishop score is. It's a score that is given to the cervix to see if it is ready for an induction. And there are certain parameters that they look at, and then they actually give it a score. If the score is too low, then the science, the evidence says they're not ready for an induction. But in our medical world, we can make the cervix come up to the score by giving prostaglandins.
Right.
And so if a prostaglandin is what would be used instead, that can have its side effects.
A synthetic prostaglandin.
Yes, a synthetic, thank you, prostaglandin. That can have side effects that may be, because it's synthetic, may not work with the body as well, may be awesome, may be enough to set somebody on the pathway, and that's all they need. Otherwise, that usually with a prostaglandin, Pitocin follows very commonly with it afterwards.
Right.
So why?
And you're usually in the bed in the hospital at night with Ambien.
Right.
And then in the morning, Pitocin has started.
Right. So why do you think, what have you been told, why they don't go for a Foley if it actually can open and release the cervix?
I think it's kind of along those same lines of why they don't really use Prepidil anymore, or, that's expensive, first of all. Or why, Cytotec is the cheapest drug. Misoprostol. Why I'm seeing more vacuum usage rather than forceps. I think it's just going into what's easy. There is one hospital in town that has just changed their policies on Foley bulbs, and it is outpatient now, which I love.
Sorry, I just stepped on a cord and almost ripped my head off with my earphones. Melanie saw it, and I'm trying to be sorry, everyone. Trying to be cool about it, but it's okay. So back to the podcast.
Okay. I think it's just the way that.
Yeah, I just
it's easy to have a woman, and have a woman come in at night and monitored and
I think
controlled.
That speaks to, and this isn't trying to be a negative person here, but it speaks to what people just get accustomed to doing more than what always is what are the other options around it. So this is why it's really good that, Tiffany, you brought this up, because it is a potential option. And even if a care provider doesn't offer it, it doesn't mean it can't be something that your client could learn through their own research. What is the Foley? What are the benefits of it? What are the downsides of it? And is it something that they want to approach their care provider about, that, okay, I agree that I will be induced, but here's how I would like, first finding out what the plan is, and then is, a Foley an option, and if not, why not? So that they're clear on it, because as Melanie already pointed out, it's not a drug. And yes, of course, it's manipulating the cervix. And yes, it could be uncomfortable. But if they're facing the induction anyway, is this not one of the things that they should be given the option to choose as well?
Right.
And because if the cervix is totally closed, then it becomes a non-option.
Mm-hmm.
But then it goes back to, why are we inducing if the cervix is totally closed? And again, we already said, you have to help your client be clear on why they're making their choice, not making the choice for them.
And the other client that I worked with that was outpatient with the Foley, we talked, she also was dealing with gestational hypertension. This was a couple of years ago. And we knew that she was going to have to be induced as her blood pressure was continuing to rise, and it was just getting higher. And so I think she was 39 weeks. And so we talked about all the options, and she went in and asked her doctor about the Foley. Her doctor said, we really haven't used one of those in a really long time, but sure.
And see, that's a good example.
And she was able to bring it up in a conversation. And then, the next question was, can I go home with it? I don't see why not.
Right.
So it just wasn't in her normal practice.
Right. So there isn't, I think there is a time and a place for it, but there are probably more times and places for it than the person is given the option around, is my sense of it. And the going home is no guarantee also, just to be clear on that, because especially if a provider, like what Melanie just described, said, well, we haven't done this in a long time, that person might even be more inclined to keep them in the hospital for the fear of, well, we don't know. It's always that liability issue in people's minds. So it's not a given that they'll go home, but it is more of an option. I mean, I've known people who were induced also in the hospital with a synthetic and were sent home as well. Yeah. So it's not...
Or advocated to go home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. That's more likely.
Yeah.
But that's... they usually want to watch that because it is synthetic. And it's been more with the Laminaire that they've gone home with, again, because it's a dilator more than... it's a
laminaria.
Laminaria. Thank you. I never get words right anyway. So people who have listened to me
It's got another word too, though.
Well, it's like that one I still can't remember that we talked about, the low milk supply. I just want to think of it as the champagne.
Oh, yeah, the domperidone.
Yeah.
Domperidone.
Yeah, and the dom.
Right?
Yeah.
Dom Perignon.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yes. In the case that a Foley probably wouldn't be used, would be if the water had already broken.
Right. Absolutely. Because then they're going to worry about the risk of infection.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a possible option that your client should know about. Or how about, I should rephrase that. It is an option your client should know about. It may be a possibility for them to use this as an induction. And if it doesn't work, then they can go on to the next steps if that's what they want to. In some people's cases, they're like, and if there's not a overwhelming medical reason, they may go, okay, well, then my body's not quite ready to do this. That's a whole nother story.
Well, I hope that answered your question about the Foley bulb and, what we know about it.
Right. And if other people have input, we keep saying this, but if you have input about the Foley, and did you have it yourself personally? Have you been with clients? You've seen the benefits. Did you see downsides to it? Because I have yet to hear the downside except for it didn't work. Nothing happened. But was there some other adverse reaction to it? We'd love to hear from you. Either post it on Facebook or send us to ToRAISE Questions at Gmail. But let's go on to another question.
Yes. So this question comes from
Mary Hanks, and it's Mary Hanks is in the Atlanta area. She travels between Atlanta and Athens, so somewhere in that region.
Nice.
And her website is maryhanks.com. You can check it out. It looks really nice. And she wanted to know, it was in relationship to inductions as well. And I think we've talked about this, but it's always a good thing to bring up again and remind, or if you're listening for the first time, her question was, what are the guidelines around when the doula should join the client? And that's something that I think is really important discussion. So
absolutely.
I have a lot of feelings about that.
I know you do.
I'm sure you do too.
Yes,
so why don't you begin?
Well, first of all, I start out in a prenatal visit with my clients, and I have this little handout that I give that's all the stages of labor. And so it's kind of this, this chart that has early labor, active labor, transition, pushing, and what are some of the things that could be going on. And then I write in there, about prodromal labor and what should you be doing during each stage. That's kind of part of what we talk about in a prenatal visit. So I talk about prodromal being your do life phase and early labor being your rest phase.
Right.
And active labor being your work phase, and transition ideally in the tub.
And my reaction is, and the transition phase is your oh shit phase.
Yes. Oh shit. What did I get myself into? I can't do this anymore. And so when I go through, I really, really stress early labor being rest.
Right.
That nothing you do is going to speed anything up.
So important.
Rest.
Prodromal and early, because they kind of come all they meld into each other.
I've recently started saying this phase is where you build the reserves and where you are going to need to pull from in transition.
Yeah, and in that work and and that active and transition. Yep.
So by saying early, so then we talk about inductions. When would I come? And so I also say, I write on the piece of paper, early labor, we are on the phone.
Right.
We're on the phone talking every couple of hours. You're letting me know what's going on. I'm giving you ideas, encouragement.
Talking. Not texting. A text here or there, fine, but not.
Yeah, and I definitely do text here and there, but
a talk.
I want to hear her have a contraction.
Right.
So I stress that, and then I write, in active, somewhere in here, I come to you. If it's at your house, if things are moving really quickly, I might meet you in the hospital, but somewhere in active is when I come. And that's ideally, I've definitely joined people. Things have gone so quickly though that we've met in the hospital and we've had a baby a few minutes later.
Right.
Or, just depending on the circumstances, or earlier. And so that still applies in an induction.
I think that's excellent to put in there, to have that, as I like how you have approached this in our discussion here right now. It's the same thing for an induction. Oh, she's so relieved. She makes me out to be such a bad, judgmental person. A little bit, but not really.
Make me nervous.
I like this correlation because it does come down to that. It's an induction is your resting time. It is not a time for you to be working through. So the doula can be there via the phone.
Right.
Via communicating, but not physically present, because you are communicating, but you become an intervention, I feel like, if you're always present.
Well, and I also say that early labor is where the romance is between the mama and the partner, the pregnant person and the partner, because that is where they're both gaining confidence in each other that they are going to do
Absolutely.
this.
I love that, because that's why I felt like I rarely went to people's houses to labor with them, because I wanted them to build that trust in themselves. And I was always available, and I did, and I would, and I still would. But it's more like, I want you guys to have that time together. So with the induction.
Well, and I recently had a talk with a client who's getting ready to have a baby here soon. And she was telling me that there may be a couple of, women friends around in early labor. She's just not sure, depending on it. And so then we had the talk of, labor is not a social experience.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Right. But this is really about you and your partner. This is your baby. This is your birth. And I said, my goal for you is to not have anyone, myself included, come in between you two.
Right.
And so early labor is really so important that you are just taking it easy with your partner. And, you're not making this big event yet.
And, so going back to the induction aspect of this, because that's the question, it's still so relevant what you're saying. So if somebody enters, and we know that most commonly inductions are done overnight, though they can be done first thing early in the morning as well. I mean, it's either at night they spend the night, or they come in at 6 o'clock in the morning to be ready to be prepped and do everything by 7. It is a time for them to rest. One, if it's the middle of the night, they need to be sleeping. And they, like Melanie, you mentioned earlier, Ambien can come into this, so it can often be that they will give them something to go to sleep, or their body just will want to sleep if nothing is really, quote unquote, happening. Even if it is, we want them resting. The partner will need to rest during that time because we want them to have energy. You, as a doula, need to be resting because you're going to need that energy. So the communication can be there, and they can enjoy themselves. If it's daytime and they have rested through the night, well, the daytime still, they're resting, they're enjoying. Yeah, they can read, they can watch a movie, they can listen to music. But I would highly recommend also keep the social down. And you become a social intervention as well. I mean, we know that your role isn't there as the friend, you're there as support, but you'll be chatty, they'll be talking to you, and that's all well and good, but it's not real yet.
Right.
And we want to wait till it's really real.
Absolutely.
So in that time frame, though, I guess the concern would be, what if everything just all of a sudden started changing, or they were coming in, the care provider, the nurse, whomever it is, and saying, well, what about this? We've been doing this for the last 5 hours, 6 hours, and you're not present as a doula. How have you worked that out with your clients?
Well, I'd be on the phone still. And, obviously, even if they're not in active labor, but they have questions, or they need, I've gone in before and said, I'm going to stop by.
Right.
I'm going to come in and see you and just get caught up and get you settled and situated. I think Rachel's birth story was a really great example of that. And then go again.
Right.
To make sure that I'm rested for when it gets real and they really need me. But yeah, and I've been on the phone with them when making decisions and talking through with the nurse, or they call me right after they ask for time, and they call me and we talk it through.
So what we have to remind our clients is, you have the right, unless something drastic happens in this induction, because we're now only talking about induction, that puts life on the line, you have time. So you always ask for time. It's one of those things in the brain, give us some time.
Yeah.
So that you can then call the doula and discuss it with her. And again, I always feel compelled just to say this, so forgive me if it's obnoxious. They're calling the doula just to discuss things, not so that the doula, you guys listening, are telling them what they should do.
Right.
It's just we're the sounding board. We're reminding them of questions they still might need to ask.
Just talking things through.
Yeah, and the options and all of those things, and helping them come to the place where they feel comfortable with whatever their next step is. So we don't have to be physically present for that if it's not necessary. For us to be there. And in most induction cases, it's not. So when does it become the moment when it's like, okay, I'm coming?
Still in the same same scenario that it would be if they were laboring at home, when things are very active and they are both ready for that next level of support.
Right.
They're ready to have their doula there helping guide them with decision making, or they need comfort or physical support.
Yeah, comfort and physical support. So here's something. So again, I like how this began. It's what you would expect with a non-induction birth is what you should expect from the doula in an induction labor as well. I have heard this, though, many times in workshops and in conversations about, well, it was too early, or they didn't, it was an induction, but I went in because emotionally they really needed me to be there, and I feel like my role is emotional support, and I can't not be there. I think that's a really hard one.
I do too, and I think that having that initial conversation in a prenatal visit about it,
right,
would potentially avoid that.
I agree. That's my feeling.
And then maybe doing a stop by.
And also, I think I trust when somebody tells me this and they have gone early, sometimes and mostly, I would say 100%, but I'll just say mostly. The doula wishes they hadn't been there all that time because they really weren't necessary, and they lost energy, eventually, because it was a long experience. I get the emotional support, and it's so, so important. But I think it goes back to what you also said, what I feel really strongly about. We can give emotional support. It starts prenatally, though. It's helping them create a trust in themselves.
Yes.
Just not in the birthing person, but in the partner also, that you guys can do this.
And
you are doing
a sense
this.
Of responsibility.
Exactly.
And a sense of ownership of what's going on.
Yeah, because even if I'm present, I can't make it happen one way or another.
Right.
And when your baby is born, the same thing. I mean, I hope that it can be received in the way I need it to be heard to this audience, that it's not me withholding emotional support. It's helping build that emotional support in themselves. And we are the circle around them. And that a phone call is usually as beneficial as me staring at you.
Yeah.
Or, me just not clear, trying to give you distance in your privacy of this. I just think it becomes the watch pot syndrome.
Yeah.
And helping, I think, prenatally, it's part of the prenatal conversation, not waiting till the induction or early labor begins.
Well, and I think it also that you can kind of talk about childbirth education, so that they are really well informed, and they are getting the same message from everyone.
Right.
The care provider, childbirth ed, the doula, everyone is saying early labor is your rest phase. You're not, it's just you two.
That goes a long way to get it reaffirmed. And also, I think it's like, I heard myself say it, so I'm going to repeat it. I hope it's not, It's helping the person understand that they are doing this during their pregnancy already. Like they are, as a couple or as an individual, they are taking care of themselves. They have the resources. They have the ability to do it. They shouldn't think that once they're in labor, that's all going to change. Like everything gets thrown away. Yes, we'll need more physical support in front of you, but you have it already.
Right.
And you will continue to give it to you. That said, I also, again, go back to, I trust that the doula will make the decision that she feels right for her individual client, when to appear, when not to be there. The bottom line is, we never want our client to feel like we were not there for them.
Right.
But not to get confused with physically there and versus not physically, but on the phone emotionally with them. And I think that's where some people get confused. It's,
Yeah.
well, we want to be present for them. Well, we can be present for them without being physically present for them.
This is something too you learn with the more births you do.
Yeah, I think so.
I do. I mean, early on, I was like, oh, I'm there. Okay, I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm coming in. But now I've learned, really what I'm listening for and when to come over, when to go into the hospital, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it comes with time.
Yeah. So again, thank you, Mary, for that question. And
we have another question.
Yeah. Just if people have other comments, again, just what I said before, let us know about those things. But yeah, Mary had one other question as well, and that was about cesareans.
Right. So when is the appropriate time
to leave?
As a doula to leave?
Yeah, so it's the opposite. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think...
Can I just say something real quick?
Course.
This is really important. And I've said it before, but I say it at every workshop. I've said it multiple times on this podcast, but I'm going to say it again. You are not to leave the cesarean until you have seen this person come out of the cesarean. That's the beginning. And I just have to say that only because there have been occasions where the doula, the mom, the person has gone into the OR, and the doula either says, do you want me to stay? And the person goes, well, no, I guess you can go, which is not the question you should ever ask, or just thinks, well, it's going to be an hour or two, I might as well just leave. I'll check, and says to them, okay, well, I'll check in with you tomorrow and see how everything goes. I know that that's going to be a rare person who does that, but I just want to put that out there. We stay just like we do with anybody who has had a baby, period.
Yes.
Whether it's vaginal or it is cesarean, they just had a baby.
Yep.
So we stay.
Yep, we stay.
And, we've talked about you can sometimes go into the cesarean and then you just follow them right out and blah, blah, blah. Other times, and probably more likely, you'll be asked to wait.
Well, why don't we delve into what does a doula do in a cesarean, too, just for a second.
Okay.
So what's a doula's role if you are allowed to come in?
Right. Well, one thing is you will be told where to stand, and that's where you stand. And most commonly, it will be at the head of the mother with or next to the partner on one side and you on the other if there is a partner involved. You are standing at, who is right behind you is the anesthesiologist.
Yep.
It is a small space that you're standing in, and they are trying to make sure that this person is safe under anesthesia, whether it be epidural or general. Well, if it's general, you won't be there.
No.
But if it's so you don't want to do anything to get in their way. You got to be really respectful of that.
Make yourself as small as possible.
As small as possible. And your role is to be there as the witness to what's going on, to continue that presence, to help the mom, the person know as they need to what is happening. It depends on the cesarean, but we'll talk about the most common typical. There'll be the screen up, and so they can't see what is happening. They may want you to describe, and so you can say, do you want me to tell you what's happening? Because you'll be able probably to see over that because you'll be standing more likely than sitting. The partner, often they have a chair for the partner to sit in, but not one for you.
Right.
And so they'll be lower. You can say, is this something you want to see? And I'm careful about saying that. My experience was, I was with somebody one time who was having a cesarean, and they could look up into the light above and see the reflection, and they liked that. For somebody else, that can be kind of freaky. They don't want to.
Yeah, I've had that.
So I'm hesitant to say, if you want to see, you can look up, but then they may look up and get worried.
Yeah.
So it's knowing who your client is.
And one thing too, I like to prepare my C-section clients for if they're going in for a planned C-section.
That's a different one.
If you know, but just a little thing, even if it's happening, to let the mom know that she's going to be in there alone for a little while while she's getting
good, Melanie.
while she's getting her epidural, because that can be a little scary, especially if you've been laboring, and now it's time to have a C-section. It's not an emergency. We don't need to do general, but it takes a little while for anesthesia to get everything going.
And even if the epidural's already in place, because I've had that, they still will go in without the partner. And be aware of that. Do not think if you've already been given permission, you're going in. Don't get bargy in there or testy about it. Like, what's going on? Why aren't we in there? They do all the prep stuff.
Polite and respectful.
Yes, they get her all situated and hooked up and do everything, but you will be there. The partner will be there.
But that can be surprising for her, and she can get scared. And so I think knowing that she's going to be alone, that we'll be right outside the OR. We're getting our suits on. We're coming right in, but we'll be there if she can just hang on. And then, I think taking pictures after the baby is born.
Right.
And, depending on if your hospital is doing skin to skin right away, which, hopefully they are. And then taking pictures and helping get baby skin to skin, and, even helping with breastfeeding in the OR still when she's on the table.
And you have to be careful with the skin to skin. And in this way, usually, so this is something, if it's already planned and they're going to do immediate skin to skin, but even if there's, this isn't a true emergency. And again, if it's a true emergency, you're not going to be in there. She's going to be under general. Her partner will not be in there with them as well. Excuse me. What is common is that there are monitors, little sticky monitors that are put on the chest by the anesthesiologist for the vitals. Those things, if there is time, can be put on different parts of the body so that it won't be a problem for the skin to skin.
Right.
But you know what? If they're there, we still do skin to skin. You just want to make sure everybody's comfortable, that those things are still doing the proper reading, and that the baby is not, feeling like a little knob on their little head or face. But it's doable, but you have that possibility of asking for those things to be moved, and they still can get the vitals that they need. So skin to skin would be great, but often the routine is they show the baby up over the screen, and then the baby
go to the isolette,
which is right there in the room,
and then you walk over there and you are very respectful and out of everyone's way. Take a couple of pictures, and then you bring that camera or that phone back over to mom and partner and show them their baby.
Right, and or you stay with the person, with the mom, and you send the partner over there with the baby. And you say to the partner, I'm going to stay right here with her. Go ahead, go over there, talk to your baby, see what's going on, take a couple pictures, and then you can come back and show. Honestly, I prefer that over me doing it, just because it is their baby, and it's that giving the partner permission that this is your baby, instead of I'm in charge, because we run into that the partner, especially now, is like they have no idea what their role is.
Well, I guess with my last one, when I did that, they're so emotional too at that moment. So but no, I think that's so good.
Yeah, either which way, like I said, either
that's a
one.
good tip.
But I think that if you feel, because as long as the mom is not left alone.
Yes.
And so then it comes down to, if the baby is still, if everything's fine with the baby, they're going to bring the baby over to the family. Often they hand the baby to the partner, and then or to the birther. Hopefully they've unfreed arms and stuff like that, if those were done. And you're just there snapping pictures if you can, because this is that moment. They've given birth, just like they would have given birth outside of an operating room. Eventually, the hard part is, sometimes they leave with the baby if there is a problem, or they feel like it was meconium and they need to really have the baby go be in the NICU for a little bit. My recommendation in this is send the partner along with the baby, and you stay right where you are. I don't recommend that you go with the baby because you're not the parent and you mean nothing to the NICU unit. They are, there's the HIPAA stuff. There's just, they don't know you from Adam, and they're less likely to give you input or allow you to be really present. So this is where the partner, if you can say, this is your role. And this is something you can talk prenatally about. If this were to happen, this is what we would recommend. Then you are there with the that person, and they're not alone. But if they are all good, everybody's good, you're going to be in that operating room for a while, though, because the putting back together...
The birth is quick.
Yeah. The putting everything back together is longer.
And so then, when that's all done, you go back to the room and you do what you would have done for a vaginal birth.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. You ooh and ah over the baby and give them space and take pictures of them loving their baby. And then when baby is ready to nurse, you help facilitate that. And then you go. So it is really the same thing. You don't want to overstay, and you certainly don't want to understay. But it is just as if that person gave birth vaginally. Really, I know that it's different circumstances, and nursing they're going to still be anesthetized, so they're not going to feel the discomfort of the baby laying on them in the way that they might in the days ahead because of the surgery. But, it really doesn't change in any way. And don't overextend the time, though, because they just had a baby and it's major. You take the pictures, you sit quietly, you get them food or drinks. Exactly.
Definitely
drinks and setting up food, making sure someone's bringing food or if they need food
and they may not get a lot of food initially because of the operation, the anesthesia, but you want it available.
And the partner probably needs food.
Exactly.
But what was I going to say? Oh, some things, happen and things come up. Like I had a client who went in for a version at 37 weeks, and during the version, the placenta abrupted.
Right.
And so she had to go directly.
Very uncommon.
She had to go directly into a C-section. So I didn't make it there. So I got there when they were back in the OR. And then I set up the room as though I would have for a vaginal delivery. So I put music on, I put the lights up, I put a diffuser in.
Nice.
So it looked, she got some experience.
Right.
And when they came back, helped get baby on. And then I said, what else can I do? Because I hadn't done anything really, And so they said, we don't have any of our stuff. We didn't think we were going to have a baby today. So then I went to their house and I packed bags for them and got them pillows and things that they were going to need for the hospital and dropped it back off. And so,
your role may be different than what you anticipated.
Exactly.
Yes. Something also just came up when you said that about the cesarean, and now I can't remember what it was. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
So I hope that answers the questions. I think that the bottom line comes down to you are still the doula, no matter. You basically do all the same. Now, one added thing, though, is if the baby were taken to the NICU, you may end up, if the partner is not in the room, is still with the baby, you may stay longer until that partner comes back from, hopefully you're communicating at least via text with the partner and about what is going on with the baby. And you may have to stay a little bit longer, though, because if there's no one else there with them. Now, if their family member or friends come in, you want to keep always, that's the other discussion, but to a minimum of how much energy is in a room. But you can leave appropriately. But if they're going to be alone, you really don't want to go until somebody else is there, whether it be the partner is come back or another friend, family member has come. Because that can be a real, unless she's going to just go into a deep sleep, and then you're saying, I can stay here. I'm more than happy to do that. Or I can leave and you can call me as soon as you wake up if nobody's here with you, and I can come back. Or, you can play it by ear, but don't leave somebody alone.
Right.
That, in the end, I think is really important too. So I think that's it, Melanie.
I think we covered it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any comments, any questions, please let us know. We're really glad to have answered a couple of questions today. We try and do that. So if you have asked us a question and we have not gotten to it, please send it again, just because sometimes the list, we do get a lot of requests and we try and get to them, but sometimes they get lost in all the other ones. So we like that. And again, remind you that if you have a case study or birth experience you want to discuss, please get in touch with us about that. Or if you have a client who would love to talk to, a client and or partner who would like to talk to us about their experience having a doula, we would love to have that person on. And they don't have to be with you. In some cases, I hope this doesn't offend anybody, it's nice if they get just to tell the story themselves as well. So ToRAISE Questions @gmail.com.
Thanks for listening.